It is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce to you our lecturer for this evening, an accomplished son of the soil, Dr. Colin Cannonier. Dr. Cannonier is an associate professor of economics with tenure at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee, and a research fellow for the Global Labor Organization. Dr. Cannonier received a Bachelor of Science degree with first-class honors from the University of the West Indies, Mona, Jamaica, with an emphasis in economics and social statistics. He holds 2 master's degrees in economics from the Williams College, Massachusetts, and Louisiana State University. In May 2011, he received his PhD in economics from Louisiana State University. Dr. Cannonier's professional experience includes work as a balance of payments, BOP, economics, and statistician at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, where he undertook missions to assist national BOP compilers in member countries and pursued development work in BOP. In addition, he has also worked as the country economist for Anguilla, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In his role as a faculty member of Belmont University, he has taught more than 10 different courses and served as co-faculty assistant leader on various study abroad trips, such as to Jamaica, Argentina, and India. Dr. Cannonier aims to always cultivate diverse, well-informed perspectives among those he instructs and helps develop their ability to critically evaluate and understand the role and purpose of economics in our global society. As an applied economist, his current research focuses on education, health, labor, fertility, and other public policy issues influencing individual well-being that extends to economic growth, development, and a fairer and just society. At the heart of his research is the objective of arriving at results and conclusions which have policy implications for promoting meaningful change in people's lives and economic well-being. He has authored over 20 peer-reviewed articles and book chapters, which together have received almost 200 citations. His scholarly work has been published in high-level journals such as Economics of Education Review, Journal of Labor Research, Review of Economics of the Household, Journal of Demographic Economics, and Journal of Sports Economics. Dr. Cannonier has also facilitated and co-facilitated over 20 presentations at the state, regional, national, and international level. He has presented his research at numerous conferences such as the London School of Economics, the Paris School of Economics, the American Economic Association, the European Economic Association, the National Bureau of Economic Research Summer Institute, as well as at various regional central bank conferences. Notably, Dr. Cannonier's research has been featured in popular outlets such as the Harvard Business Review and the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Dr. Cannonier's awards include the Hewell Perkins Fellowship from Louisiana State University and a joint Japan World Bank Scholarship for Graduate Studies at Williams College. Recently, he was recognized for his scholarship at Belmont University by receiving one of the annual awards presented to the faculty for their outstanding intellectual and/or creative contributions as they apply to the areas of discovery, integration, application, or teaching. Dr. Cannonier has the distinction of representing St. Kitts and Nevis in two sports, namely cricket and soccer. He has been decorated for both sports, having been named Cricketer of the Year in St. Kitts in 1993 and Rookie Footballer of the Year in St. Kitts in 1990. I ask all of you to please help me welcome to the podium our lecturer for this evening, Dr. Colin Cannonier.
Your Excellency, the Governor Generals, Sir S. W. Tapley Seaton, GCMG, CVO, QC, JP, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable members of the Federal Cabinet and their spouses, other members of the National Assembly, the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Dr. Sir Kennedy Simmons, National Hero, and Lady Simmons, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, and heads of regional organizations. Head of the Public Service, permanent secretaries, and other senior government officials, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to deliver this address at the invitation of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for the annual Prime Minister's Independence Lecture Series in observance of the 36th anniversary of independence. I would like to first congratulate the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, in particular the 2019 Independence Planning Committee, for their efforts to organize this wonderful event and for their hospitality. When I was first invited to give this speech, I wondered what was expected of me and what could I say that would be interesting. So I did what most people do now when they have a question. I Googled. After being a bit more confused than when I started the Googling process, I then remembered that I was asked to speak at this celebration because of my experiences and insights, and hopefully I might be interesting. Therefore, I ask for your patience and indulgence as I share my thoughts about our country's past, present, and future. I am a child of St. Kitts, one who grew up in awe of its beauty, swimming in its blue waters, playing cricket and football within its picturesque landscape, and feeling blessed being a part of a community that cared. What I learned while growing up in St. Kitts is that education and sports are two important conduits that can lead to opportunities. Education is important and should not be taken for granted. There are multiple pathways to higher learning: vocational, career or technical, college or university, or based on circumstances, taking some time to figure out what you want to do for a career before making a commitment to higher learning. After leaving high school, I spent 4 years working before I was able to earn a Social Security scholarship to pursue undergraduate studies. I believe it was worth the sacrifice because working allowed me to further mature and become more informed in choosing a career path. At the same time, my involvement in sports had provided me with a number of important benefits, such as an inexpensive way to stay healthy, personal development, self-esteem, leadership skills, and camaraderie, which developed into lifelong friendships. In addition, when opportunities present themselves, they should not be ignored or squandered. Leaving a rewarding job and a comfortable lifestyle to pursue doctoral studies did come with its challenges. These particular challenges offered an opportunity to grow and explore other options in pursuance of these goals. While these are important transformation issues for all people, for me, one of the most impactful things that brought me to who I am today was when I began looking into the world of economics. I am an economist by training and nature. I find satisfaction in researching and analyzing issues related to the economy, environment, health, education, development, and society. Looking back, before I became an economist by training, I displayed an ability to analyze and problem solve. Many years ago, when I was around the age of 9, I was eagerly looking forward to the end of school one afternoon and getting home to eat what was then one of my favorite meals: rice, peas, and steamed fish. So growing up, my mother would cook our meals and put the cooked food on plates for myself, my siblings, and my relative. It did not take me very long before I hurried to eat my delicious plate. I had pretty much cleaned the plate, save for the fish bones, of course. Because I still craved for more, I proceeded to check to see whether more food was available. Fortunately for me, there was one other plate that remained. It was that of my relative. What occurred thereafter was what some of my friends describe as my first foray into rational thinking and problem solving. Bear with me. So, I proceeded to uncover the plate containing my relative's food and began to carve out some juicy chunks of meat from one side of the fish. To be clear, I was less interested in the rice and the peas. My thinking was, if I can have some of the fish without getting caught, this would make for a happy ending. So, having eaten about 1/3 of one side of the fish, I decided to flip the fish so that the uneaten side was facing up. In my 9-year-old mind, I rationalized that when my relative did decide to eat, he was likely going to be unaware that the food was disturbed, and by the time he had gotten to the other side of the fish, it might appear that whatever moisture remaining in the rice would partly explain the breaking away of the meat from the fish. At least that's what I thought. Right? So, it was not long before a query was made to my mother, who quickly proceeded to investigate the issue and find the culprit. Turns out my siblings had long eaten their food and left the house, so it was going to be difficult to lay any blame at their feet. So the obvious question from my mother was, did you eat the fish? My response was no. Further, I placed the blame on the cat. My mother stood silent and watched me, waiting for an explanation as to how a cat would be able to remove a cover from a plate, eat parts of a fish before turning it over and replacing the cover. You can use your imagination to guess what happened afterwards. Right? Nevertheless, I learned a valuable lesson. Think and plan before you act, or eat in this case. Right? My rationalization and problem-solving skills have improved a great deal since then, or so I hope. As I grew up, my interest in problem-solving and maximizing utility moved toward bigger issues that impact our societies. I was fortunate that my work at the central bank and my participation in competitive sports had afforded me ample opportunities to travel throughout the Caribbean and other parts of the world. What became evident was the disparities in education, health, and economic circumstances of people across and within the region. These observations led me to ask pertinent questions such as, what are the causes of these differences in people's well-being? How can we help people to live more fulfilling lives? As the renowned economist Robert Lucas noted, The consequences for human welfare involved in questions like these are simply staggering. Once one starts to think about them, it is hard to think about anything else. It was a quest to study questions like these that led me to pursue additional education in economics. A substantial portion of my presentation revolves around education. You might ask, why education? Everyone preaches it. Our parents, families, and friends tell us it is important. Why else should we care? There are numerous reasons why education matters. The World Bank reminds us that education is a human right, a powerful driver of development, and one of the strongest instruments for reducing poverty and improving health, gender equality, peace, and stability. Further, it continues, education delivers large, consistent returns in terms of income and is the most important factor to ensure equalities of opportunities. For individuals, it promotes employment, earnings, health, and poverty reduction. We know that for most countries around the world, the average hourly pay of an individual increases by about 9% on average for each year of schooling. If we compartmentalize the world into regions, the highest returns to schooling occur in the Caribbean, of which we are a part. More specifically, an individual in the Caribbean can expect the average hourly income to increase by 11% for an additional year of schooling. This is non-trivial. It means that the more schooling we attain, the greater are the opportunities for individuals to substantially raise incomes, improve our standard of living, and reduce inequality. Dr. Simon Jones Hendrickson, our well-respected national and a colleague in the economics profession, noted in a 1975 published article that there was a strong positive relationship between education and economic transformation in St. Kitts and Nevis and Anguilla at the time. To paraphrase some of these findings, he surmised that more goods and services being produced in our nation was associated with more 5 to 12-year-olds enrolled in primary school and more 12 to 19-year-olds enrolled in secondary school. The benefits of schooling go well beyond earning higher incomes. We often refer to these as private returns. So traditionally, we have viewed education as a type of investment in which we participate, something happens, and we become more productive with more knowledge and skills. While economists disagree often, we all agree that education does other things that have significant effect on other life outcomes which are important to a well-functioning society. These societal benefits, or social returns as it were, are many. Allow me the opportunity to shed some light on a few of these benefits, some of which you are already aware. Given the increased availability of data, economists are now better able to provide quantitative measurements to the other things that schooling does. For instance, we now know those who are more educated tend to choose jobs that offer greater opportunity for rewards and accomplishment. Such individuals are more likely to be recognized in the workplace by managers and peers and receive support that enhances the working conditions. People with more schooling tend to have better relationships with their colleagues. The more educated are more likely to receive fringe benefits such as pension contributions, medical insurance, paid vacations, and allowances for travel, vehicle, and housing. Education is also associated with other benefits that occur outside of the working environment. A vast literature points to the fact that our critical thinking and social skills improve with education. As we become better critical thinkers, we are better able to solve difficult problems in a shorter amount of time. We become better at multitasking, which is linked to increased productivity. Individuals with additional education are usually associated with having better health. With more education, we become more knowledgeable in making better decisions regarding how we take care of our mind, body, and soul. If we can all make full use of the educational opportunities afforded us, then it means that we become less reliant on government assistance. This is critical because the less we depend on the government, the more resources government has at its disposal for use in more critical areas that need development, such as infrastructure and technology. Education also increases our level of patience in a way that we're more willing to forego instant pleasures of today to enjoy greater pleasures of tomorrow. A more educated citizenry makes its government more accountable. With more education, we become more civic-minded, more informed, and are empowered to vote in ways that reflect our stance on issues that we care about. Teen pregnancy and fertility, crime, risky behaviors related to the illegal use of drugs, and excessive drinking all tend to be less likely amongst the more educated. The opportunities afforded me throughout my career as a central banker, an athlete, and an academician are in large part due to these benefits of education. For that, I am thankful for the support of my mother, Colin Cannonier, and for all my teachers, especially those who taught me at the primary level and were instrumental in my development. I want to salute them by name because too infrequently do we acknowledge them to express our profound appreciation for the work that they do. Kindergarten, Miss Lorna McMahon and Miss Nola Prokop. Grade 1, Miss Inez Roberts and Miss Dolores Christopher. Grade 2, Miss Hortense Hanley. Grade 3, Miss Joville Rogers. Grade 4, Miss Allison Hughes. Grade 5, Mr. Elvis Newton. Grade 6, Miss Gillian Archibald. And my headmistress, Mrs. Dorothy Clark. While some are no longer here with us, they are never forgotten. They all represented the best of what educators offer at the best primary school. Newtown Primary, now Tucker Clark Primary. We live in a country of contrast. Like many places in the backdrop of its beauty, adventure, and caring communities exist opportunities for the country to further unify, transform, and develop. But where do we start? The change begins within the community. Many of us desire the same things from our communities, such as fellowship, safety, care, and trust. Although the factors that influence a community are ever-changing, the things that make a community do not. Investment in education, care, empathy, and respect for each other, volunteerism, a sense of belonging, unity, growth, as well as shared causes, concerns, and goals. Like in every community, and ours is no exception, we are challenged to determine what we would like to see done differently and to work together towards results. Doing so requires us sometimes to be uncomfortable with the reality of certain deficiencies in some areas and recognize that although it is tempting to simply pretend these are non-existent or convince ourselves they are inconsequential to us, we are in this together. Left unchecked, deficiencies that impact our community in one area can dramatically affect the whole community. It is up to people like us who care deeply about the fate of our community to work together to improve the quality of life for all. It is through cooperation and a singleness of purpose that we are best able to address common problems in ways that enhance our living standards. To our youth, ask yourself, what role will you play in addressing our community's challenges and making them better? What does it mean to you to be a part of our community's growth and development? Today, our youth, the future leaders of our country, are in a unique position to use innovation and the dynamic changes in technology and economies to transform our country. As Robert F. Kennedy surmised, the world today demands the qualities of our youth, their imagination, courage, and appetite for adventure. Our youth have less in the way of excuses and more resources and opportunities at their disposal to make their mark. For example, they increasingly have laptops and computers readily available, which allow them to use technology as a pathway to innovation. Furthermore, parents and society at large have made significant sacrifices for their education. It is very likely that at least one young person somewhere out there is probably saying, "What does he know? He's never walked in our shoes. He doesn't know our struggles. He is there, we are here." Those are pertinent questions and thoughts, and you're probably right. I do recall, however, a little boy growing up, having no access to computers or phones, living in a two-bedroom house where 4 individuals slept on the same bed. He had one standpipe in the yard and used a corner of a partly wooden, partly zinc fence to take a bath using a small bucket filled with water. His toilet facility was that of a pit latrine. That little boy would get up early in the morning to make breakfast for his siblings, then take his sheep out to graze in the hills before going to school with a couple soft-covered notebooks that were stacked in a "thank you for shopping with us" plastic bag. He would then leave school in the afternoon, return to the hills to collect his sheep, thereafter go to purchase bread for breakfast, did his homework, slept, woke up, and started the routine all over again. That little boy was me. I share that story to say this: I am not in your position, and I am not in your situation at this point in time. But sometimes in life, things come full circle. For instance, it is rare that one gets an opportunity to speak at such an auspicious occasion in a place that has had such significance at various junctures in my life. Here is where I was born, in Pond's Pasture. For several years as a little boy, I would traverse this land with my sheep long before there were any structures. My earliest education began in this part of town. This is where I had my first full-time job, initiating my career trajectory. So being here at the Central Bank, and more broadly in this particular part of the island where I was reared and where I learned, is of particular significance to me. In conclusion, we have the ability to make better decisions if we all have what is necessary to succeed. If we all have quality education, food to eat, a safe place to sleep at night, access to quality health care, and we all feel cared for, I believe we can have a sustainable and resilient community. With our energies centered on a coordinated, integrated approach to meet the needs of all citizens, transformation is possible. In the end, we can transform, uplift, and unify. To borrow from Dr. Martin Luther King, I too have a dream. I dream that one day we are not limited, that time and space are no longer barriers. The investment in education is one thing, the leveraging is another. How do we leverage? We leverage by combining our knowledge with technology and using our digital platforms in such a way that being an island does not mean we are isolated. Being an island means that we are an oasis of knowledge that expresses fertility of thought, talent, and skills in such a way that makes the rest of the world take notice. When we consider where we stand in our development with the rest of the world, we hit above our weight.
Oh, yes.
Of the 194 countries, we are smaller than 190 of these. But we leave behind more than 120 countries when it comes to our level of development. As we move forward we must remember wisdom, patience, courage, and determination can carry us far. We can choose hope and unity over despair, apprehension, and disorder. Of course, we are human, and sometimes we make mistakes, or things do not go our way. But as the saying goes, a mistake that makes you humble is better than an achievement that makes you arrogant. Additionally, avoid being distracted by destructive criticism. According to Albert Hubbard, an American philosopher, to avoid criticism is to say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. In the end, with perseverance and effort, we can discern what is constructive and what is envy. We come from a long line of sacrifices and struggles, so we understand that greatness is earned and not given. Our journey as a country has been a prime example that those who work hard, doing the best that they can with what they have in the situation they find themselves, can make things happen. Most successes never come easy or fortuitously. Success comes because someone made a decision, a commitment, a plan, and put in the work. They decided that although it could be easier to ignore, live in comfort, and go about their life, they were compelled to do something that required more or different or both. We must also remember, as the author Jack Canfield states, that feeling fulfilled does not come from money. Money usually comes from doing things that are fulfilling. If you be who you are and do what you really love, then you'll have all the things you need to support you in doing that. As the scriptures tell us, working hard with faith in mind can lead to great things. And if a person has faith and works hard, then they will eat the fruit of their labor, and blessings and prosperity will be theirs. As a country, we have always had an enduring spirit, passed on from generation to generation. And it is that spirit that will allow us to continue, endure, and prosper. Thank you.